Even if you personally adore the people on your team, you might be thinking, is this as good as it gets? Did I get stuck with the B team? Well, here's some hard truth. If your team isn't performing how you want, it might not be their fault. It might be yours. And not because you're a bad leader, but because there are four things you may be doing that are actually keeping them from graduating to the A team. In this episode, I'm breaking down the four roadblocks that even well meaning leaders might be creating. And by the end, you will have the practical steps you need this week to just get out of the way. So before we jump into the first roadblock, I want to remind you that the last thing I want for you is to walk away from this podcast feeling bad or feeling guilty or feeling any sense of shame. This isn't me pointing a finger at you. It is just me holding up a mirror so that you can see what is going on around you so that you can course correct way before I did in my time in leading teams. So I'm going to encourage you, lower any defensive walls and just really seek to self-evaluate. Is this me? Can I work on this? And if the answer is yes, take it as a win. Making adjustments and growing as a leader is really all we could ever hope for. So no guilt. Okay, here we go. Number one, micromanaging, the word we all love to hate. It's that overwhelming need to control every detail and every decision. And let's be honest, it's exhausting. It's exhausting for everyone involved. And if you've ever been micromanaged, whether by a boss or your mom, you know how suffocating and how annoying it feels. It's like saying, I don't trust you to handle this, but without actually saying it. And, I've struggled with micromanagement. I've struggled with it as a leader. I've struggled with it as a mom, really in most roles I found myself in, if I'm being honest. And at the root of it for me, I thought I was just being helpful. I also just didn't know a better way. And, I remember at work being terrified, thinking about what surprises I would have to handle on the fly if I didn't know what was going to happen at all times. And so to me, the easier way was just to have all the pieces under control. I mean, have you ever found yourself rewriting team members' copy, like just to make it sound right, or giving those step-by-step instructions on a project because you just want to make sure they do it correctly? Or maybe you're asking for a lot of status reports. Sometimes it's about control and we want things done a certain way, but other times it's because we just didn't actually set clear expectations to begin with. So of course, we feel the need to jump in and correct. And sometimes we're just not confident enough in our team members' skills. But here's the thing. The more we hover and tweak and over-involve ourselves, the more our team starts to pull back and morale drops. Insecurity creeps in, creativity stalls, stress rises, and people stop thinking for themselves and they start waiting for your permission instead. And so guess what? You've become the bottleneck. And not only does that hurt the work, but it hurts the relationships. And we just have to try to stop doing it, friend. Based on a 2023 study, 39% of employees surveyed have changed jobs to avoid working under micromanagement. So if you find yourself struggling with this, I actually break this down in even more detail in another podcast episode called How to Stay Involved Without Micromanaging Your Team. And you can find the link in the show notes. But here's one small but significant thing you can do this week. In your one-on-one meetings or in any conversation with individual team members, gather up the courage and ask this. Is there anything you'd like more space or ownership over that I could step back from a little bit? Or another way you could put it is, are there any parts of your work where you'd like me to be less involved so you can run with it more? These are great questions because it gives your team permission to be honest about where they might feel micromanaged. And asking this, it builds trust and it models the kind of feedback culture that most of us are just really hoping to create, right? One where people feel supported and heard and where feedback is just what we do here. Whew. Okay, micromanagement, done. Moving on. Number 2, rescuing. So my 6-year-old absolutely hates putting his socks on. It's as if when he has to put socks on, the process of doing it is literally killing him. Also, to make it worse, he doesn't love wearing socks around the house. So when he gets home or when he comes inside from playing outside, he takes off his socks, which means some days he has to put socks on 2, 3, 4, 5 times even. Socks have become my nemesis. So what do? I often do it. It's just way easier. It's way faster. We don't have to live through the drama of putting on socks again, at least that time. But I know the more I do it, the less willing he is to even try. I mean, it's easier for him too. And this is rescuing, okay? It's a short-term fix that causes a long-term problem. So let's talk about rescuing at work. I know you know the feeling. Someone on your team turns in something late or it's halfway done, and instead of coaching or correcting, you stay late, you finish it yourself, right? Faster, easier. You avoid the awkwardness. Or maybe it's a new employee, a new person who asks you a dozen questions every day or more. And so what do? You answer every single one because you're trying to be helpful and supportive. But instead of nudging them towards problem solving or resourcefulness, you have accidentally trained them just to stay dependent on you. So conflict is another big one. Two people hit tension and you slide in and smooth things over. You keep the peace, yes, but at what cost? They don't build communication skills, they don't build trust, and they just keep looking to you as the referee to fix their interpersonal problems. And then there's just the everyday struggle, right? When someone's trying something new and they are just fumbling through it, it feels painful, and you find yourself saying, you know what? Just don't worry about it, okay? You don't worry about it. I'll do it. Faster, cleaner. But it teaches them that they can't or don't have to figure it out for themselves. So in the moment, rescuing really feels noble. I mean, when we think about first responders or search and rescue teams, I mean, they're the real heroes. But here in this context, you're creating a culture where accountability is just optional. And while it might keep things afloat short term, it crushes long-term growth. It crushes ownership. It's exhausting. So let me give you a simple but powerful challenge when it comes to rescuing at work. This is one of my favorites. Of all the leadership tips, this one's one of my favorites. Instead of jumping in, you're just going to ask one question. Here it is. What are you going to do next? That is it. Imagine me in the daily saga of my 6-year-old and his mortal enemy, socks, right? The whining, the stalling is like a full-blown reality show. But what if instead I just asked, buddy, what are you going to do next? Suddenly the ball's in his court. He's thinking, he's planning, he's taking some ownership. And the same thing works at work. Now, I know what you might be thinking. What if they say, I don't know? Because the truth is they probably will. And that is exactly what I walk you through in my free on-demand workshop called Free to Lead. In it, I show you step by step how to move from a team that's dependent on you for all the answers, for help, guidance, and direction, to a team that's confident and capable and solves problems on their own without needing you to rescue them. So watch the Free to Lead workshop today. Go ahead and watch it. It's free. You can watch it anytime. You can even listen to it in the car on your way home. Go to HeyCaralist, KARALIST.com/workshop, or just grab the link in the show notes. Okay, on to number 3, perfectionism, or what I like to call nitpicking in disguise. And this one is tricky because to us, we feel like it's just excellence, but to everyone else, it feels like control. So perfectionism shows up in this constant tweaking, this over editing, and an obsession over the tiniest details, right? Like the fonts, the phrasing. It's like, where is the placement of the logo on the slide deck, right? It's the rewrites or last minute minor edits. And I have felt this one personally. I had a boss who did this and it drove me crazy. There wasn't a single thing I could do that didn't need like her personal cherry on top. Like nothing was complete. Nothing was fully right without her addition or her edit. And I mean, it was a serious case of nitpicking. She would even nitpick my appearance, like fixing like a collar that might have been slightly crooked. And you know how it made me feel? Well, it made me feel crazy annoyed. But it made me feel bitter because it always felt like she was taking the credit for the 0.1% that she added after my 99.9% work and effort. And it made me feel like she didn't even believe I was capable of producing something good without her. And, when I think back to it, I don't know why she behaved like that. Sometimes perfectionism is rooted in fear, like fear of how the team's work reflects on you, or fear of mistakes, fear of letting go. And sometimes it's just personality. Other times it's like a habit, right? It's just the way they've always done things. But regardless of the reason, the truth is that nitpicking just builds resentment. And you want to be building confidence in your people and not resentment. So if you've caught yourself saying, just let me take a quick look, and then spending an hour rewriting something, it might be time to pause, right? To think about this. But here's one small but powerful shift, okay? For each one of these, I'm giving you something you can do. Before you give feedback, you're going to ask yourself, does this actually need to change? Or is it just not how I would have done it? Is their way actually another viable option? And here's my opinion. If the outcome of the project or task is clear, and they achieve it, it doesn't matter how they got there, right? So if you and I both leave my house and decide we're taking separate cars to Costco, it doesn't really matter which way you choose to go or which way I choose to go, as long as we both get there. Now, I may fully believe that my way is faster, my way is less congested or whatever, but it's just not the only way. Okay, moving on to the last one, number 4. Are you still with me? Okay, here we go. Number 4. Not delegating. Most of the time, we don't delegate because we feel this sense of responsibility to shoulder a certain undefined extra burden. So we think, I don't want to ask them to do that, or this is really my job, not theirs. But here's the reality of the situation. You're drowning, they're capable, but underutilized. And so all progress just depends on you. I've never been a fan of admin tasks. I want to be creating and working with people, not doing data entry, not cleaning out my emails, or anything that even comes close to a spreadsheet. It's not my thing. So in a former leadership position, what did I automatically assume? I assumed that because I hated admin work, my team did too. And if I was going to be a good leader, I believed I shouldn't just pass off the stuff I didn't want to do. We're all adults. We all have to do things that we don't enjoy. But here's what I learned. There are people who love that kind of work. I don't get it, but it's true. And by keeping that work to myself because I thought I was doing the right thing, I was actually withholding tasks from them that brought them real joy. And at the same time, I was spending my energy doing work that frustrated me instead of leaning into what I uniquely brought to the table. So by not delegating, I was unintentionally sabotaging us on all sides. Does that resonate with you at all? Maybe you didn't even realize that you weren't delegating. So here's what I want you to do. Take a look at your very full plate and make a list of the tasks that only you can do. Then create a second list with everything else. And this week, consider how you can begin to delegate the tasks that you don't have to do yourself, especially to someone whose unique gifts align with that kind of work. So here's the big idea. If any of these habits hit close to home, you're not alone. And you're not doomed. This is just your friendly warning from a leadership coach that cares. It's just your invitation to lead differently, because the truth is, if we have a dependent team, it's because we have allowed it. But if we've allowed it, we have the ability to do something different. And small changes in how you lead can create major shifts in your team's productivity, major shifts in your team's performance. So you want that high-performing team? Take on one of the challenges this week that I outlined in this episode. And don't forget, you can dig a little deeper into some practical training with my Free to Lead workshop. Okay. Thanks for tuning in, friends, to the Culture Keepers podcast today. If this episode resonated with you at all, would you do me a favor? Will you share it with a fellow leader who might need this message too? And until next time, I believe in you, I'm cheering you on, and let's chat next week. Bye.